Hey, welcome back to Four for the Road, everybody. I'm your host, Punk Rock. We got the usual suspects here, minus Tragic today. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it with us today. But I think we got some pretty dope shit to talk about today. I know we promised some cool shit, but unfortunately, the guests that we had lined up, life happened, and we are going to get them on soon. The next one, our next guest, rather, I'm not going to promise when, is going to be the founder of Murder Town USA. I know I'm looking forward to that, and I know Andar is about ready to explode with fanboy status shit. So, but today we're going to be talking about some dope MC shit, and I'm just going to throw this one over to Drifter. Let him start us off.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
You're very
So,
welcome.
uh, so today we're going to be talking about kind of how we see the motorcycle club culture evolving into, because nothing is ever static; it's always changing. You can look back in the history and go from, the 1900s, 1940s, the 60s, the 80s, and now how things are today. And it's what you can see from that is that nothing is ever going to stay the same. So there are some good points and some bad points to all this. But one of the really good points that I see is that probably since about 2003, 4, somewhere in there, you start seeing a whole lot of this groups getting together to build these choppers. And I'm not talking these Orange County choppers, that $1 billion things that'll never see the fucking road. I'm talking about ones that guys, they chop what they got and they get it on the road and they just go, man. And then they all get together to do these runs, to do these shows, and eventually they end up racing these things. I mean, it's just fantastic. And I think what really started for me when I really started to see this come out was when I started going to the smoke out, and you could see that's like the mecca for all these people that just build their own shit. And from there, same on the East Coast, there you got the Revenge Run out to the Outer Banks, and then you start looking at all these other things like the Race of Gentlemen, Mama Tried shows, and throw that into the mix with all these homegrown race teams where they just go out in the fucking field and start racing each other. I think that's where the MC culture, these young guys coming in, they don't want to deal with the drama and the bullshit anymore. They just want to get right down to it, the fun stuff, which is, riding your bike, hanging out with your buddies, telling lies to each other, chasing girls. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? So I'd like to hear your guys' story on what do you think? Is you think the culture is going in that direction?
Hey, Drifter.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd like to start with just busting your balls a little bit if I can.
Oh,
Um,
great.
so, we're talking about a resurgence, and I think, you hit the nail on the head. You talked about, kind of that run what you brung kind of mentality and things like that, and the different outlets of, you talk about the smoke out, you talk about the El Diablo run, stuff like that. How much credit do you and your club mates want to take for some of the the resurgence, the revival in racing, hill climbs, flat track, dirt drags, things like that? Some of these, just so our listeners, all five of them, don't get confused if they've never heard some of this. Some of these are like runs. Some of these are like Drifter mentioned, kind of chopper and custom bike shows. There's one where it's like, what, your budget is like, you get like $1,000, and like whatever you can create out of that is like how you're entered and judged in this thing. But I want to hone in on kind of one specific thing, and like that's kind of the resurgence that we're seeing in flat track racing, and I really want to hear Drifter's take on these clubs coming together. And I kind of bust your balls a little bit and say how much credit do you guys want to take, but I think it really is a beautiful thing that some of these clubs have put together to get back to, let's settle it on the track.
Well, there's the American Motorcycle Field Racing group that's out there now, and that all started because my club and another really old club were just sitting around talking about how cool it was back in the day to go racing. So they figured, well, let's go down to North Carolina, man. The Digger's Dungeon down there. It's the funny car that goes and does all the stunts and that sort of thing. Anyway, he's got this big, huge field. So they just, leveled out a track and a big oval and started racing and invited all the other local clubs. And now it's kind of a big deal. I mean, they've had several here in North Carolina and Virginia. They've had it down in Alabama. They're looking at Ohio, and this thing's going crazy. And what's really cool about that is, like the last one, there was a group of guys. They're professional barbers, you know, but they're the kind of I don't know what you call them, but they're just a bunch of cool fucking dudes who love motorcycles. They cut hair for a living. They hang out and they tell stories. And they said, "Fuck it, let's build a bike." So they got this piece of crap bike out of a barn, literally, put it all together, made up racing sweaters like what used to be, and just went down there and boom, instant race team, and had a blast doing it. And so I don't know if my club is really responsible for any of this, but we are definitely taking part of it and trying to make it bigger and grow it.
Yeah, how do you guys real quick? Because I don't want listeners to think that we shy away from this stuff or anything like that. So, touch a little bit on because it's unavoidable. Club politics and how the good that you've seen, and if there's any negative, obviously we can touch on that too without getting into names or details. But how are club politics kind of handled specifically at some of these races and things like that you've been a part of?
Well, the cup with the 1%ers, they kind of sort themselves out. So if Group A knows that Group B is going to be attending, they just don't go, right? So that kind of works itself out. We don't really put a lot of thought into it. It's just if you want to show up, great. Just remember it's for racing. And I'll tell you what I've seen. These big bad 1%ers that the media is trying to tell you, oh, you got to be afraid of them. They'll kill you. Man, those guys are like fucking little kids when they get out on that field. They come back, they're all muddy, they're smiling, everybody's laughing and joking, get a big, huge bonfire, and club politics are just right out the door, man. It's all about, hey, did you see that guy crash today? And, oh, man, I beat you this time, but you're probably going to take me next time. And always talking about how to make their bikes better. It's exactly what it should be.
And I think, and I love that. And I think, real quick, again, for the listeners, and I'd love to have Punk Rock chime in on this as well as you, Drifter. I want to make sure that they understand that we're not advocating or skating over, politics and the MC scene. They are what they are. And some of them are there for good reasons. Some of them, yeah, we'd like to see some changes and things like that. But, you have some sites out there, you've got Milkman and his site, and Milkman's got more miles on his pit bull than he does his motorcycle, but he's trying to preach this kumbaya thing, and that's not what we're talking about here at all.
No,
we're talking about very much so, understanding that there are dynamics above us and intertwined with all this MC shit that we're not trying to tell people what to do at all. But
not at all.
There's a difference between these unrealistic expectations that somebody like Milkman and his MC for life and that bullshit club he has that has no miles, they're trying to preach, versus what we're saying is, here's what we can do within the scope of protocol and politics and how the club scene is. Punk Rock, you have anything to add to that? I kind of rambled.
A little bit, man. So first off, for people that don't know what he's talking about, is there's a bunch of different Facebook pages out there and MCs that are across the world, let alone just America, that like to attack America, that like to attack our writing on Sucker Free MC, which is a traditional American MC protocol and tradition online magazine. So people see this and they say, well, that's not how we do it here, and that's not how we do it there, and that's bullshit. I don't believe in, like, his big thing is that he wants to fight on everybody is it's okay to name drop, actually, and you don't ever have to ask the dominant for permission, which obviously anybody that has been in his life in a legitimate club or at least brought up in a legitimate way knows that those two things will get you fucked up real quick.
And we're not saying that by no means are we saying that we're always right. We are not always right, but we understand that there's ways that you have to conduct yourself.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people get stuck in, and I think where he's at is we'll say, just to kind of, so people can visualize it. Let's say protocol covers 100 square yards, right? And everything in that is MC protocol. And they're living in the middle of it with like 4 square yards. And they're not understanding that MC stuff and the bike life, the motor culture is supposed to be fun. Like, that's why it's voluntary. Like, I know myself and a couple other guys wrote about it. in the past couple of weeks that this shit's voluntary. It's supposed to be fun, and it is fun. There's just certain things that you got to do and you can't do, and that's okay. It's part about being in life. But
yeah. So to bring it back a little bit to what we were talking about with the racing events.
Well, I just piggybacking on.
You see what I did there, guys?
I just pick. Oh wow. Okay. Cool. My bad, Chief. Didn't mean to.
So all I'm saying is that at these events and when other clubs show up, they sort that shit out. And if you can fit your club into these events, fucking do it, man. And when you show up there, you're gonna see it's all about having fun. It's all about the motorcycle and telling stories and just having a fucking blast of a time. That's all it's about.
So you said something kind of
Drifter
resonated with me.
Drifter said it way better than us.
So absolutely, but you said something that kind of resonated with me, Drifter. Me being a younger guy in the community, and then coming in at kind of I would say an early / average age, like just before average maybe. We are kind of fed up with the bullshit, the dumb shit, man. Like me personally, I don't like fighting. Right, that's not like a top 5 pastime for me. That's like a necessity type thing for me. I love going to shows. I love going to bike nights. I like doing these runs and these rides, and I like riding with people who I consider brothers and all that. I don't want to deal with all that other fucking drama. If I wanted to deal with all that other fucking drama, I would still be in high school.
Well, you know what? Hang on, wait. I think though that there's an aspect to it where some of that comes with, and there's a play on words here. So wait for it, territory, and and I think what,
fucking got him.
and unless you are kind of in that situation, I don't know if it's ours to speak on, but I think Jim and you, Drifter and you both bring up good points about. There are different ways that we would like to see it done, but in no way are we. And I think a lot of times you see guys like Milkman and they want to advocate this kumbaya shit. So this just so they can have their bullshit club legitified or legitimized, and that's not how it works. There's a difference between saying, yeah, I'd like to see things go back to an older way, or I'd like to see things done a little bit differently, but in no way am I trying to say that we all need to hold hands around a campfire. Even though Drifter was there for the invention of fire.
Well, he wrote something a couple months ago, and it was along those fucking kumbaya shit, talking about how like, oh, fucking back in the day, it wasn't this stressful, it wasn't this tense, and this that
bullshit.
And the third. And it's exactly right. It's fucking bullshit. The difference is first off, like we're primates. It's ingrained in our DNA to somewhat enjoy fighting. And to be dominant, and to be that guy in charge. And second,
and to group ourselves into tribes.
Yeah, and y'all motherfuckers, and I say y'all motherfuckers, like when the world was black and white when you were growing up, Drifter.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all motherfuckers were fighting just as much as we are now. The difference is what we're fighting over. Like today, we're fighting over territory and rights and passages and all that other shit. Where back in the day, motherfuckers are fighting over, hey, you cut me off on that last turn, or hey, down that fucking straightaway, you kicked my fucking bike. They were fighting over predominantly more racing shit and like stolen ideas and stuff like that, intellectual shit, not, oh, this guy's in my neighborhood and I don't like it. Now, I'm not saying that
Yeah, but that whole idea, what you're talking about there, man, that goes back to the late 50s, early 60s, okay? That's, before that, yeah, there were fights, but it was just fist fights. It was, I'll smack you upside the head with a baseball bat, that kind of shit. And then, money got involved, and when money comes serious violence, and that's where we are.
Yeah, why do you talk shit on my favorite era of the 50s?
But yeah, and that was my point, like today when you say, hey, like, so and so got in a fight, it's like, fuck, dude, is he okay? Because you don't know if like knives got brought out, guns, fucking other sorts of weapons and shit like that. Back in the day, it's like, hey, Billy got in a fight, and like, oh fuck, who'd he get in a fight with? And they want to hear the details, and it's something to laugh over. Where today, there's like that initial fear, like, fuck, is he still alive? Is he in serious condition? What's going on? And like you said, I think a lot of that is money related and whatever that entails. And I think a lot of it is just
Yeah, but we're supposed to be
over-
talking about the future. We're getting stuck in the past.
Well, yeah.
Well, I think we're doing a good job of saying this is kind of how we got. And I know we've kind of already covered this in a podcast before, so we won't spend too much time on it. But it's a good job of like, this is how we kind of got here. And also, I think it's important just so we don't alienate the 5 people that listen or something like that to make sure, and so we don't get it twisted, so they don't get it twisted. What we're saying, we're not advocating for this, that, or the other. We understand completely why things are the way they are, and this and that, and we in no way want to tell you how to run your organization. It's just this is what we would like and what we see. And now we are going to ask Drifter, what is one thing that you are looking forward to? And your answer is going to be Flat Out Friday and Mama Tried.
Same.
Also, we lost Drifter.
Did we lose Drifter? Oh, we lost Drifter.
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, there he is. I'm not editing that out.
Hey, did you hear my question?
Boomered.
No.
He boomered real hard.
There's too many buttons, god damn it.
Hey, Drifter, did you hear my question?
No, I didn't.
I wanted you to tell us one thing that you're looking forward to, and I said the correct answer is Flat Out Friday and Mama Tried, and I want to hear why you're looking forward to that.
Oh, I'm glad you brought up the Race of Gentlemen. See, that is such a cool fucking thing. I saw 2 Survey cars racing on the fucking beach. How cool is that? They were drag racing each other.
I didn't bring up the Race of Gentlemen. I said the correct answer is Mama Tried.
Oh, that. Yeah, there's something going on in Wisconsin. I'm not sure what it is. I might be there. I don't know.
You know what? I'm a little fucking. Hold up. Time the fuck out. I'm a little hurt that your answer was not, oh, so I got to spend time with my 2 favorite co-writers on Sucker Free and co-host Geriatric fuck.
And I think, it's good for the listeners to know we're going to try and do some shit from Mama Tried and from Flat Out Friday. But, hey, Drifter, as somebody that has a couple of club brothers that'll be participating in the race, what is that like to see them out there representing the club, flying the colors? What does that feel like for you as a spectator or somebody, supporting them?
So my club, as you know, goes back way back. And so 1937. Very first Daytona 200 winning in 1946. And anyway,
I know who that was.
Lots of racing, lots of trophies. And it was very cool to see all these different magazines. And I have magazines from 1970, 1950s, even as late as the mid 70s, where these guys are still racing and winning. And it's good to see us get back into it. This isn't professional racing, but it's still, you're racing for points to go for a world championship. So it's pretty fucking cool. It's groundbreaking for us to well, not groundbreaking, but it's cool to get back into it.
And I think too it was cool. And I think you mentioned, and I could be wrong, but Drifter, maybe it was Punk Rock. Somebody said that they had a relationship with him. Is it? I can't think of his club name right now. That races at the X Games for the Booze Fighters Motorcycle Club.
Yeah, that's Booze Fighter Mayor. He was the one racing there, and
he was in the legit X Games.
He was in the legit ass X Games, and I just wanna be clear here. I've met the man a couple times. I was not a hang around, but I hung out with his chart of the Booze Fighters for a little while. But yeah,
you said he was your best friend.
Yeah,
what the hell? You said he wanted you to date his sister. What are you talking about?
Whoa, hey guy. He's fucking joking, folks.
Well, look at this. So we have maybe because I'm here in the Midwest, I'm in Wisconsin. Mama Tried, Flat Out Friday is a big deal here. But you're talking about legitimate, respected historical clubs with these racing pedigrees now. Flat Out Friday and the Mama Tried show, the X Games, the stuff going on with Digger's Dungeon and all the different clubs that are taking. There's some legendary clubs that are taking part in this stuff, and I think it's cool to see. I think one thing too that I think is worth touching on, and please jump in here at any time, is when you go to these shows, these like the Smoked Out and the El Diablo runs and the Chopper Fest and the list goes on and on and on. You're seeing a lot of younger guys though that aren't doing the club thing. They're just kind of they're taking their $1,000 and they're building their chopper or whatever, and they're having a great time in the garage with their friends. And why is that?
Well, I think it just shortcuts some of the drama as far as they're concerned, but they miss out on a lot of lot of cool shit that MCs have. They kind of miss that, but there's a hybrid out there, like, and I'm gonna do a little name drop. Death Science Motorcycle Club. They're not really a club, but they are. It's a bunch of guys that like to build shit, and they get out there and they build these fucking awesome choppers and go riding around. You know, there's several clubs like that are clubs but not clubs, and you know, it's all about the bike. And I'm kind of digging that.
I think there's two different types of dudes that you find when you're looking at somebody that's not even remotely interested in joining an MC, and one of them's gonna be one of those dudes that get offended over fucking everything. You know, they're gonna be upset about being called, "Hey, prospect," and not, "Oh, excuse me, you know, Jonathan Adam Smith the third, will you please come here?" It's, "Hey, prospect, get the fuck over here." You know, so they're not gonna be able to fucking emotionally fucking handle that. And the other guys are just like, "Hey man, I don't want to fucking belong to anything. I don't want they respect the fact that we have protocol and politics, and there's this shit like that goes into it, and they just don't want to play by those rules. So they're just like, "Hey man, you do you, I'm gonna do me, and I'm gonna just ride my shit, and that's all I want."
You know, and I respect that, and I would never try to tell anybody that they should be an MC or they shouldn't. If you're interested and you want to come around, great. And if you're not and you want to do your own thing with your buddies in your garage, that's great too. I support either one of those things. What I don't like is the dude that wants to be immersed in the culture, but then talk about how he wants to do it his own way because this and that. Like, to me, it's like either be all the way independent or adhere to the protocol. Because like Punk Rock said, man, it's voluntary. You don't have to be here. You're not required to be here, and you don't have a right to be here. It's just it's you know, be one way or the other. And I totally support, you know, I'd support the guys that just hang around clubs but don't jump in for whatever reason, but they do it right. And I support the guys that are like, you know what, F club, that's not for me. I get that.
Yeah.
But when you try to like take it and mold it to how you think it should be, and those are the guys I don't get.
I love if you're going to get in, then fit in, you know?
I love how in the same sentence you'll say shit, but then you'll censor F. That's cool.
That's his Midwest upbringing.
I got a perfect example of that is a guy I consider my brother, Ryan, back in San Diego, rides the most beautiful blue fucking Super Glide you've ever seen. But he was like that. He, you know, we just started hanging out one day. Like, he heard my bike come home, and he just fucking came over with a couple of beers and said, "Hey, what's up, man? Like, I'm Ryan. How's it going? Like, I like motorcycles." And we built this really great bond. And like I said, I consider this man my brother, and brought him around my club at the time. And he hung out. He's like, it's cool. I like doing the rides. Some of the parties you guys go to is kind of cool, but I don't want to prospect. I don't want to do all that other stuff. And I'm not going to disrespect anybody in your club and ask you to just give me a patch because A, I know it's not going to happen, and B, it's extremely disrespectful. So, you know, and he went on all the fucking public runs. Like my last one in San Diego, we went up to LA, and it was just me and a couple brothers and Ryan, and we had a great fucking time. And
yeah, there's nothing that says a hang around has to become a prospect. You can be a hang around as long as you want.
Yeah.
You know, I think, I'm not going to drop any names here, but when you know, when I was hanging out with Drifter and his guys, he had a young guy, very pretty young, and kind of getting to know the scene and stuff like that, the ins and outs from Drifter and Drifter's brothers. And the kid was awesome. The kid was 100% stand up. The kid was great. I mean, he was somebody that you would want to mentor and hang around and build your club with. And whether or not he ever decided to go that route or not is not my business. That's Drifter and his club's business. But I mean, you know, that's an example of, you know, two examples of younger dudes like saying, you know what, this is my lane, I'm going to stay over here. And another dude, you know, getting into it and seeing what it's all about and being a positive addition to the future.
Oh, yeah, club needs that. If you have a club just filled with old fat dudes, then you're going to do old fat dude stuff. If you have one just filled with young Turks, you know, that just fucking go around and do stupid shit, then that's all you're going to do. You need a good mix.
Oh, so you're saying I shouldn't join your club then, Drifter?
You're young but fat.
Join. You better get in line, young man.
Get in line. Oh. Wow, here we fucking go.
So, Hey, Drifter, what would be your, since you started this off and stuff like that, what would be your goal for the future of the, not just your club, but the community as a whole?
Well, I think some of this bad blood, some of these heavy politics, I think the people that aren't involved need to shut the fuck up and let the people that are involved handle it.
Hey, say
So
that one
all
more. Say that one more time for people. One more time, because what he said. Listen again, folks. Say it again.
so the people that are involved in all that, let them handle it. All the other clubs, stay the fuck out of it. Go out, ride your shit, hang with your brothers, meet other clubs, build friendships, and just fucking build your shit, ride your shit, and race your shit, and that's it.
You want to say it one more time, or are you good?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
But exactly, you're exactly right, and I know that somewhere some troll is prepping to be like, but Sucker Free MC says that everything is a direct reflection of the community, and it is. I agree with that what we do as a club guy reflects on the community. However, you conducting yourself in the right way does not mean that you need to get involved in or take sides in club A or B's business. That's the difference. Conducting
Yes.
yourself accordingly versus getting involved in someone's business that's not yours are two separate issues.
Absolutely.
100%, man. If it's not your business, it's just not your business. And you'll know very well if it's not your business if you don't wear the same patch as the dudes that business it is, and you're not wearing the same patch as the dudes that business affects.
That's a lot of business, man.
I
Yeah.
hope Milkman's listening.
Oh, hi, Milkman. Oh, hey, Milkman. I'll be up there soon. See you soon, buddy. And that's another thing, too, that people get stuck on Sucker Free is like, well, like there's this cat in the comments that I was responding to right before we started here. He's like, you guys are fucking hypocrites and you guys contradict everything you fucking say and da 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 da. It's like, look, bitch, listen.
Look, bitch.
Sucker
The
Free.
conversation can't be good if it starts out, look, bitch.
I know, right? Let me get on my stool so I can look you in the eye because I'm short as fuck. but it's, he says that. And my response was, look, man, first off, we're writing from like AMA clubs. We're writing from 99% clubs. There's some of them that are fucking independent writers at this point. There's 1% clubs. It's East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, South, fucking everywhere, right? Protocol in Wisconsin is going to be different than protocol in California. And those two are going to be different than protocol in Florida. And that just is what it is. And what we're doing is we're writing from our perspective of how we grew up and where we're at. Right? Mm-hmm. And fucking, God damn it, dude, you brought up Milkman and I'm just fucking heated now. But it's okay.
So how about that El Diablo run? Who wants to do that?
I'm more excited about Mama Tried because I heard Andar is signing autographs for anybody that can identify him.
Ooh,
I heard you're going to be
an autograph.
I heard you're going to be in the media pit, so I'm just excited to take your seat in the stands for my jacket or something. Maybe an extra beer holder.
Maybe for like an hour. Yeah, I'll be down there in the pit. I'll be in the pits. I'm going to try to get out to the center of the track, take some pictures and shit like that, get some cool recordings and shit. But I don't plan on spending like the entire day down there.
Hey, maybe we should try and do a live podcast or something.
A live podcast.
Yeah, well, live podcast.
I can't
like that.
Figure that shit out.
Hey, I don't get it. Jared, your troll. Why did it take him a year to figure out that there's different opinions on this page?
Oh, you looking it up right now?
Yeah, I don't. It says I've been following this page for over a year and a half, or over a year, sorry. And the amount of self-contradicting doctrine is astounding. First of all, great lexicon, great use of stretching that vocabulary. Second of all, it took you a year to figure out that there's different opinions on here.
It probably took him a year to string that sentence together.
Oh, my man's got a thesaurus by the bed. Jared, heighten us up.
Man, Jared, and he ends with, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yes, you can.
What's the point of having fucking cake if you're not going to eat it?
So I am living proof with this gut that you can actually have cake and eat it. Seen me do it, fella.
I didn't get a chance yet to read your post to see what he is calling contradicting. But I mean, yeah, like you said, you're exactly right. What Drifter sees on the East Coast versus what you see on the West Coast versus what you see in the Midwest is going to be different. And really, protocol. There's very few things. There's some very very big keys that are kind of universal. But other than that, protocol just changes. I mean, even the way that even terminology that you use. Like a common example is the term slicks. Use the term slicks, and you'll have guys talking about tires. You'll guys talking about greasy pants that are now waterproof and things like that. Like it's like it just depends. And nowhere, we're not saying that this is the Bible. We're just saying, hey, in your area, this is probably applicable or a good experience. And if you don't like it, why the fuck are you on the page for a year? Get out of here.
Probably for the same reason a lot of our writers follow MC or MC for life, so we can just see it and be like,
oh my god, are we on the same level as Milkman? I got to start walking a pit bull more than I ride my bike.
Well, see, that's the thing is I haven't. He doesn't even have a motorcycle. I think the MC in his club stands for my car.
Yeah, that could be. I tell you what gets me is whenever we'll do an article and it'll be on a certain subject, and then like clockwork, the next day, all these other sites are doing the same thing on the same topic.
I can't remember who it was, but I saw another, and there are, don't get us wrong, we're not just shit talking. Sucker Free MC, there's writers on Sucker Free MC, not all the time, but occasionally there's people that post shit that I'm like, God, I hate that article.
It's mostly my shit.
So we're not saying that we're the best thing since sliced bread. There's other very good sites out there, and there's some absolute trash ones, and there's some trash sites that put out some good stuff once in a while. And I think we're a good site, and sometimes we put out trash. But I saw one, I can't think of what it was. There's a page, and this dude was like, F a certain club, but then he's talking about how he's a neutral reporter or whatever on MC stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Like, you are such a gentleman because I know exactly what the fuck you're talking about.
Is this the one where they posted that picture that if it had been one of our clubs, we would have gone and beat him in the head? Yeah. So the guy puts out this. Yeah, he puts out this big long article about how. Oh, hello.
Yeah, we can hear.
Weird. I can hear an echo now. So anyway, he puts out this big long article about how we should all get along and kumbaya this and kumbaya that and don't talk bad. Meanwhile, you look at the picture he posted with it, and it's just this horrible, terrible insult to a particular big club. And I'm telling you, if that had been any of our clubs, that guy would have had a visit.
Well, and I can't, like I said, I can't remember what page it was, but
I know.
It's not the first time that I've seen it with like this contradictory thing where he's like F a certain club and then trying to talk about this neutrality in reporting and this and that. Like, just ridiculous. Don't say F the certain club and then try to walk the fence.
Yeah, you definitely can't. You can't sing Kumbaya while you got your gun to the back of somebody else's head.
But those are usually the old, no offense to the other old timers that are legit awesome graybeards to learn from, but those are usually the guys that never went anywhere, and they talk about how the scene sucks nowadays because they never got into a club and nobody's got this and nobody does that anymore. I can't stand those guys. Shut up.
Yeah, I see, and like going back to like where the future is going. There's a couple clubs in San Diego right before I left, and thank God it's before I left because I'm never fucking going back. And I never have to see these asshats again. But it's like you look at them and you wonder, like, how the fuck did you find 8 other assholes that are just as stupid as you to form this club, and why has nobody fucking shut this down yet?
And and that's the thing too. And I think too, like as Drifter hit on, I think in an article maybe it was a week ago or so, is the social media and stuff like that. What guys like that tend to do, and what I think most of us here at Sucker Free try to do is two different things. Where Drifter hit on that social media can be a great tool. I mean, it really can nowadays if you use it correctly. It's a place to store and to share this history and to make sure that it's not lost. And think about how many great pictures people took that just disintegrated over time. And so it allows you to keep in touch easier with brothers that are overseas or in different states and things like that. There's a lot of great aspects nowadays to social media when used correctly. However, you also have the ability to take some of those people like you mentioned, Punk Rock, and it almost gives them legitimacy because they can kind of learn a little bit, but at the same time they know people are going to talk about them, their name's going to get mentioned, because we don't want to talk about Drifters Club doing things the right way all the time. People are going to be more incentivized to talk about these BS clubs and these guys that are just leeches on society, because it's more fun to trash talk them. It is. I get caught up in it sometimes. We're all guilty of sometimes enjoying trashing a club that shouldn't be doing things, that aren't doing things the right way, than it is to talk about these clubs that are doing great things. And I think that's one of the pros and cons to social media. We're always going to kind of spotlight the roaches, and in the day of Rico, there's not a lot of ways to squash the roach, other than, I always advocate, if you want to stay out of jail, ignore them. A club like that is not legitimate unless you give it legitimacy. If you're not inviting it to parties, if you're not inviting that roach on runs, it's not legitimate.
Yeah, don't talk to them at all.
Yeah, and eventually they're going to go away.
Even if they don't, I don't care. It's not my problem. And people are like, well, that's Sons of Anarchy. I don't care. Go do whatever it is that you want to do in your garage on your Kawasaki 200, and it doesn't affect my club world.
On your old Kawasaki Katana.
That was a Suzuki, dick.
Now all the Kawasaki lovers are gonna fucking dogpile us now. Way to go, guys.
It's okay. It's okay.
So yeah, I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about some of the builders that are out there, some of the races that are going on, seeing some of these legendary clubs and stuff like that are getting back into or not back into, but have been revitalizing the racing community and things like that. I'm stoked that in a couple of weeks we're gonna watch Drifters brothers tear it up on the track. And hey, Drifter, if I'm right, your brothers are actually competing for AMA points, correct? Like they're going out for position.
It's the real deal. Yeah.
And to kind of give the independent guys a little bit of love here, I'm pretty excited to see, like, we had Jace on for our last episode.
Jace changed my life. I want to put that. Jace, you changed my life.
He did. He did. Jace, just know that you had a tremendous impact on this man, and I think you now have another admirer, and I think Andar is gay for you at this point.
You got a second wife, bro.
But
so I'll tell you a quick story about
we got
how...
Jace, right?
Wait, Drifter.
Yeah.
What's I'm sorry, who's going? Drifter, tell us a story, and then, or wait, Ken, you want to finish what you were saying, and then Drifter tell us a story?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm really excited. Like, we got a bunch of young dudes coming up doing shit that's for the culture and not really for a whole shit ton of profit and stuff like that. And, I mentioned Jace, like we fuck around on his Instagram a little bit. Like, you see his paint jobs, the builds that he's done, and, the podcast that he's doing, talk about rides and this and that. And then, like the Butcher from Rusty Butcher, he's a pretty dope dude. And I know you're looking forward to seeing him again in a couple weeks at Mama Tried. The dudes over at Dixon as well. They're just fucking dudes. They're not like, oh yeah, I fucking work at Dixon, or I own fucking part of Dixon. They're just fucking dudes, and they're just cool, and they're doing shit for the community, and they're trying to get it back to, like, let's just fucking write our shit and not worry about what we fucking look like or who thinks what. I'm just gonna do me. I'm gonna enjoy my machine, and I'm gonna spend it with like-minded people. And sometimes that's in a club, and sometimes it's not, and both are okay.
Hey, Drifter.
Yeah.
Hey, I want you to tell your story, but in case I forget, I'd also like you to add on one thing either before or after the story. Speaking of all these great clubs and the histories that are racing and stuff like that, I know you know a little bit about the Moonshiners and kind of some of the racing that they're still taking part in California. And I know that you've been like a great resource on teaching people kind of the origin of the diamond and where it comes from. So I'd love to hear you talk a little bit more about the racing, or what you know about the racing that the Moonshiners have been doing and stuff like that too after your story.
All right. Well, so the quick story to kind of talk about how things are coming back, and the new guys are taking these old ways and kind of make them the new ways. So just to give you an example, I have this chopper, and it's a rat bike, but a club brother of mine who's an older guy, but back in the 70s, he used to do all these tricked out paintings, the candy colors and the metal flake panels and stripes and all kinds of freaky deaky shit, right? Well, he hasn't done that in years and years and years. but he saw my bike, and he wants to do that to the tank. So it's going to be this, ratted out, rusted chopper, but this tank is going to be magnificent, and I can't wait. And I just like how that's taking the best of what we had and bringing it into the future to make something better. So back to your question, the moonshiners who are still racing today, they have a diamond, and inside that diamond is a 13, but they are not a 1%er club. And so I've talked to their national president, so I'm not, talking out of church or anything. He has no problem with this. In fact, I did a couple of write-ups about it. So anyway, that diamond 13 comes from the 1930s for the Southern California Outlaw Federation, right? And that was the 13 original clubs, and it was a counterpart to the AMA. It was an anti-AMA group in Southern California because they wanted to race, but they didn't want to deal with the AMA overbearing rules at the time. Now, keep in mind, and before people flip the fuck out, that old AMA, yeah, they were overbearing. They wanted to control everything so they can get all the money. That is not the AMA of today. The AMA of today is all about biker rights and getting legislation passed through that help us. So don't get on your anti-AMA bandwagon and start bashing them, because those guys do a lot for us. So anyway, that's where their diamond comes from. Huh?
So let me tell you why I don't like the AMA.
Oh, here we go.
No, I'm just fucking with you.
Hey, Drifter, to race at the field races, do they need a one-day AMA license or AMA pass or whatever?
No, they need to show up on an American or British bike and be ready to have fun.
Because I know for to race in Flat Out Friday and Mama Tried, you need to have a AMA membership. You can purchase like the one-day AMA membership or whatever for the race.
That's because
which I believe
of
is the same thing. Which I believe is the same thing for the X Games. I think you need to, if you qualify for the X Games, I think that you have to have an AMA registration. Somebody feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but there are some anti-AMA clubs that race in the X Games. So like Drifter said, the AMA is changing and it's doing a lot better than what it did in what you think of in the 30s.
Yeah, because they don't have a stranglehold on motorcycle clubs and motorcycle racing like they used to. And so they have new leadership starting probably about the 80s, or they realize, the motorcycle racing is not what it used to be. It used to be bigger than football, bigger than NASCAR, but not that case anymore. So now they're concentrating more on helping bikers, and they still do a lot of racing. They sanction a lot of races, and they just provide a structure and also insurance. And I think that's why these Mama Try guys and some of the other events, they want you to be part of the AMA, because then they can latch onto that AMA insurance if something happens.
I think the AMA is a great example of an organization like MCs that you have to evolve, and if something's not working for your organization, like it wasn't for the AMA, you have to change, you have to evolve, and you have to see what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's also like with the insurance shit, it's kind of like that like AAA roadside service and shit too. I got a buddy of mine who races I don't think he races under AMA or something like that. I know it's off-road shit, but he swears up and down by it. Like, he had problems with his bike at the track and dialed up whatever fucking AMA number, and they came out and helped him out.
Yeah, it's just like AAA. They'll tow your bike. If you're stuck on the side of the road with no gas, man, they'll come help you out.
That's what's up. That is what's up.
All right, Punk Rock, you want to take us home?
You're not really my type, but I guess you'll do in a pinch.
Lies.
Don't worry.
Have you seen that man with his shirt off? What are you talking about? Not your type?
Hey, I want the listeners to know that Punk Rock is doing this episode in full Navy PT gear. Okay, so.
Well, yeah, somebody's got to fucking defend your freedom, all right, guy? You're welcome for my service.
In PTs, in reflective PTs.
Are you
Navy?
You are the definition of a fucking bro vet, and you're gonna go over here and talk shit to me for having a fucking job that makes me wear a fucking Smurf suit. I hope that you stub your toe every fucking day until Mama Tried. You know what
First of all, I'm the most anti-bro vet person. Second of all, I'm gonna publish that shirt of you and your BDUs now, or whatever that T-shirt shit is that you're wearing.
BDUs.
Can't even insult me correctly, you fuck.
Fuck.
I don't know what they're called
Definition of
anymore.
bro, you're a 9-line wearing black rifle fucking Matt Best cock sucking motherfucker.
Only the only bro vet can be the one that can rattle that shit off. All right, take us home. Tell us whatever.
No, I'm just stalling at this point just to piss you off because you really want to get off, but I'm over here just having fun getting off. You know what I'm saying?
It's your PTs. You tell the story.
All right, man. I will. Just remember, I do the editing, and I might just throw this video up with like massive dildos running towards your face. And
I wish your editing skills were that good.
Me too, bro. Me too. I wish.
All right, fuckers, get a room. Let's shut this down. Let's go.
Yeah, I know. Grandpa's got to take it's Grandpa's bedtime.
I'm missing my Geritol. Let's go.
So we do got to go, folks. We thank you guys so much for joining us again today. Once again, we apologize for the scheduling fiasco with some of our special guests, but we'll fucking get to it when we get to it, and you're going to fucking listen anyway because you love us. If you see us at Mama Tried, I'm serious. Andar is signing autographs, so bring something for him to sign.
Hey, I'm only signing man tits.
Yes,
man tits.
I mean, hey, he'll sign your girl's tits. He'll sign your t-shirt. He'll sign your fucking 9-line hoodie. He'll sign whatever the fuck you want to.
Hey, and if you want to get on Punk Rock's good side, bring him a hard seltzer. Nothing really turns him on like a hard seltzer.
Or a Bud Light. That's cool too. I kind of quit the diet thing because, it's called Fat and Happy for a reason. So
don't tell these people that you were drinking that shit for a diet. They know you better than that.
I don't think they do. Anyways, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And I'm the one recording it. So y'all can fuck off and die in a fire for all I care.
Oh, man.
But he just took off.
He went straight nuclear.
So, hey, thank you guys so much for joining us for this episode of 4 for the Road. We had a lot of fun doing this. Drifter, thank you so much for all your insight, man. It's always great to hear you. Like, I just love sitting and listening to you talk, man. It's really dope. It's really informational or informative. That one, informative. And it's always just a good time, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple weeks at Mama Tried. And then, like for the 4 or 5 dudes that listen to us, like if you spot us in the crowd or whatever, you want to come say hi, man. Like we're not fucking celebrities or anything like that. We're not making money off this shit. So,
no,
anyways,
not at all.
I'm done rambling. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next week.